Okay. Seems like it's recording. Yeah, man, I haven't recorded this stuff in a long while. I was like in hospital for 2 days or some stuff. When I came out, my mind wasn't quite, properly balanced or whatever. But I stuck out. I was still, I was still able to send out something, just to make sure that, through sickness and health, come hell or high water, this is something I have devoted my life. This is something I have devoted my life to. I was mocked, I was ridiculed, I was intimidated, I was followed around by undercover secret agents. And this is the truth, because I know some of these guys. Alright, I guess that's one of the privileges of being the son of a soldier, is that, when they're kind of like family friends, you tend to sort of, and especially when you're kind of like an analytical person, when you size people up, you tend to sort of know what these people's occupation is, right? So when they got the order, Lord knows from whom, to sort of, with that suspicion, like, what is he doing, follow me around, and and I had to deal with all of the rumors about me, stupid stuff, from me having a child that I have neglected. No, I have never had a child. I only have nephews, and all sorts of things. And irresponsible father with kids, man. To giving out the wrong advice to people, and I had to be shut down. The whole boycott thing was crazy, and that totally traumatized me for quite a while. But the only reason that it did, otherwise I wouldn't give up. That's, let people be people. But they were able to infiltrate my friends, and when they infiltrated my friends, that's where they can start to sort of break you down. So yeah. And then my family, then they infiltrated my family too, and yeah, man, things were crazy. Family didn't trust me, friends didn't trust me. I only had my projects, right? I only had my projects. She's not really involved in this. When I do try to involve her, there's all sorts of confusion, and I guess she gives in to people, and all their silly comments and stuff, and I bet that's about strength of character, how you rise above the negativity. And I set my mind on this. So I cut off my friends. I cut them all off, all of them, and I didn't make it a secret, because they weren't my friends. They were other people. They've been sort of brainwashed. So I cut them off, and I continued, and I waited until my real friends started to realize, we grew up with this guy, man. This is the guy we know. We know his ups and downs. We've been through shit. So yeah, I mean, eventually when my friends did start to come around, then I could sort of open up with my family. When I had when there were meetings about my family and stuff, and sort of trying to rebuild those bonds and stuff. That's also one of those things. So in the end, I held on to the chaos still. Alright, I held on to the chaos still. And the rationality, reason, and logic eventually prevailed. I don't know how many of my brothers who stand side by side with me as I embark on all these crazy escapades and stuff, but I understand. That's why I was saying things like, screw these niggas, they don't apologize. They know that's me. That's me calling them out, right? So I'm not a person to hide things, whatever. That's not me. If that's what it is, I'll tell you straightforward. That's what it is, and that's what I did. So brothers coming around, that's good. And for my group, man, they just stuck by me stern, man. It was hailing, it was snowing, whatever, right? Those guys were like, nah, we're right here. You know what I mean? And that certainly helped. So when I was at the hospital and this stuff was weird and it looked like, I don't know, I was told afterwards how it looked like, whatever. Things like if you were in the village you'd be dead and blah blah blah, things happen, whatever. I'm here, I'm alive, and time to sort of look at certain things that have unfolded. I'll start with my comment, which was received indifferently when I said that the so-called founding father supports a kafu or whatever the heck that stuff is. Now, I am a man that does not believe in traditions. I don't. I know this culture, but I know tradition is corrosive. Culture means the ability to change, right? The ability to change, the ability to adapt, the ability to transform. Tradition is very conservative. It hates change. It rebels against change. It pushes away change. It doesn't want anything to do with change. Why I said the so-called founding father was supporting this is because I know he is a man that respects women. In plan, he had women with big guns fighting. He trusted them. He trusted them to get the job done. That is Semyoma for me. Right? Without knowing it, he's one of the pioneers of equality, of 50-50. Right? Without knowing it, he's slightly a feminist too. Right? So I said that knowing what I know, but also knowing what he knows and what I know of him, that personally he understands. Right? And the boss understands too. They totally get it. But it's difficult for them to oppose tradition, because tradition is so segregated, right, from modern society, or it tries to segregate itself. It likes to take the good in society and completely pushes away anything that might change the outlook of the people. This is why I don't believe in kings or chiefs. I don't see their place in modern Namibia, in a country that's democratic. I don't. And if you're a king, up in your throne thingy, whatever, I'm sorry, but you have to step up if you want me to to start recognizing me. Let me read about how you have helped your community. Let me start reading about the changes that you're making. Let me start hearing about the vision that you have for your community. Something, not the latest thing that you were given by government, or how you told government about our people prefer, just you're completely useless. Yeah, I see it, useless. It's good, right? I don't know what their role is, and the kind of judgment that they pass, which they are technically not qualified to even do, right? I mean, ask yourself, what's the role of activists in the traditional landscape? What's the role of activists? You get outlawed, just like that, because you're barking. I did not grow up with that. I know culture, but tradition, no thank you. So I'm not bashing them completely. I'm just saying that our traditional leaders need to start embracing change, right? It's a must, right? It's not some sort of a plea or whatever. It's for everybody's benefit. We need to move on, man. Come on. So yeah, let me get back to this. So NBC starts putting out ads about AR, where they're like, sorry if you don't have a plot, you can still get the decoder, blah 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 blah. Now, this dude at NBC, the one that's on, the leader, whatever, the one that decided that we're going to go digital, yeah. There was some talk about the talk between him and MultiChoice, where he said unless MultiChoice gives them some sort of payment, then they will not give their content to did I say Microsoft? Sorry, MultiChoice DSTV. So he was like, he'll stand firm on that. They have to give us the proper deal if they want Namibian content. But here's the thing, nobody wants Namibian content, dude. It sucks. It completely sucks. NBC, look at NBC. The most content that was relevant on NBC, things like Open Talk, and what was the Friday show that used to have African music? I don't remember. Shows where people could engage each other, when it gave people platforms. That was content, and that could have been content that they could have bartered with other industries, but at the moment they don't. There were some scenes that they had, some acting thingy. I watched like 1 or 2 episodes. The acting was pathetic. It was horrible. The camera angles and everything. I mean, they tried to make sure their microphones weren't as loud as African movies, but all in all, the actors were way too aware that they were being filmed to actually act. Alright? So the directors suck, because trust me, put me behind the lens, I can make a novice a professional. It's all about the director. Instill confidence in your actor, make them feel at home, make them feel they are that character, build them, have them make that transformation mentally, right? And that's the exercise. It's almost like being a coach. And they suck. So now they have sucky content, and they decide, what do the kids want? The kids seem to be very interested in AR. Okay, let's talk about AR. And they talk about AR, but they talk about it in a negative. Now, the whole "we will stand firm, we won't budge" that they had against MultiChoice is something that they got from affirmative repositioning. That stands. They got that from affirmative repositioning, and here they are dissing affirmative repositioning, or trying to get some sort of attention from the youth. Dude, I'll be very patriotic right now and say, I believe content is very important. For example, the VPNs I use on my phone, I use them because I have CW on my phone, right? So I can access CW's content. You can subscribe to get CW's content because they are good. Now, if you could negotiate with those companies, do what MultiChoice does, right? Negotiate, try to find content wherever you can get it, and then you bring it all into your pathetic little decoder and have people actually have something worth watching. They will buy your decoder because it will be up to date, but at the moment it's still not up to date. And that's why people think it's useless compared to DSTV. It's all about content. Content is important. Before you put yourself on some sort of a pedestal, have something to back you up, right? So that's my whole patriotic whatever. Now to the logic of everything. You're bashing AR. Your content sucks. You censor a lot based on personal preferences, personal idealism, and not based on professional deliverance of content to people, especially in things like news, open talks, and one-on-one, especially one-on-one. Let's get to that. So one-on-one, we have this guy. He's famous. He's famous for putting everyone in the hot seat. He will ask you questions, and what's your motive and what. And most people think that he's some sort of an agent. And no. I just think the guy is good, and I respect him for that. So one-on-one, once we sit down with Job, who is a representative of AR, and I'll say that again. He's a representative of AR, right? He's the speaker. I go and ask him what exactly. Basically, they're going to look at his personal history in SPYL, intentions, the whole documents and nonsense that they found out about him applying for tenders, whatever. He did that in his capacity as a graduate, as someone who can, right? And he did a lot of community development projects that he didn't have to uplift the youth. He was part of the youth league after all. This is what people seem to sort of just cut out. They're like, no, why only the youth? Why only? Well, let's not forget he was part of SPYL, SWAPO Party Youth League. He was not part of SWAPO, the big dogs, was he? He was put in the youth league. So now that he's only representing the youth, you want to claim bias? Huh? Who's confused here? That just speaks of the gap between the youth and the older generation. And there's that sense of, no, he wants to speed things up so fast that it might make everything collapse. Dude, things collapsed years ago. Look at our market share in our business industry. It's puny compared to the market share that foreign countries have. And now look at our share in land. It's puny compared to people outside the country. I don't care if you're black, white, colored, pastor, whatever. If you're a proud Namibian citizen, you should look at that and go, this isn't right. It totally trashes on the concept of citizenship. Citizenship is important. Try buying a plot in London today. Do you know how hard it will be? Especially if you're a foreigner. And then look at how easy it is in Namibia. What we want is a stable young generation, because the young generation is the future. But how can the young generation be stable if they are so conflicted? This is a problem. This is the reason for the term of peace and stability is not an excuse. Why? Because as long as you say peace and stability and you have this conflict here boiling until it eventually explodes, then your peace and stability is gone. People have a threshold. Namibia has one of the most peaceful people in the world. But that does not mean that we should accept being kicked around and being, underappreciated as citizens. This is why I was part of the raise the pension thing. I got a little slack for this. I'm not old, I shouldn't be doing this. Some people thought I was a political opportunist. A lot of things. I got no peace. Wherever I went, my face seemed to be recognizable, and there was a lot of negativity, yada yada yada. And there was that other guy who was the real opportunist, who first tried to wiggle his fingers into the land issue, got ignored, and tried to find something else, found the whole raise the pension things from advice from a certain somebody who's speaking at this very moment, and then decides how can he make this work. And I'm like, hey man, I'll vouch for this guy, and I vouch for this guy, and I put my stamp on it, and it goes and works. And poof, there you have it. Gratitude? No way. What's he doing at the pharmacy? That's the kind of stuff I got. What is he? What's wrong with him? The good? Who cares? So, cutting out negativity. Because that's expected. Right? That's expected. And I'm not a man of credit. I did that, or I was involved there, or I did nah, I don't care. Right? If there's progress, I'll show you. You know what? Here, look here, there's progress. Look here, there's this. Look here, there's this. Look here, there's this. And then we get the people, and then we walk together, and then we move forward. Right? Political architect. Right? But mostly a social activist. And it's not something I chose. It's just something that sort of chose me. I don't have to do this. I mean, look, I don't want to say I am privileged, but I grew up pretty privileged. I was practically pampered. I had a lot of things that I wanted, and I got them, and there was a lot of envy to how much my parents loved me, I guess, and how I sort of stuck out, and there was a lot of envy on that, and there were some very bad people who did very bad things to me, who in turn affected my life negatively, really hard. But mostly I cannot claim to have lived a very hard life. The struggles that I have are not material. Right? That's what I want to say. My struggles have not been material. Right? So I've always been empathetic, and it's a tool. That's what I see empathy as a tool. Instead of being empathetic to the point where I cry, I'm empathetic to the point where I start to seek solutions. Even if somebody doesn't want my help, I'll end up helping them eventually, as the pensioners have seen. Progress is something that I support, and affirmative repositioning is change. Right, it's change. Let's look at our history. I've spoken about history a lot, how empires came to be, China's empire, Britain's empire, the fall of the French empires, the fall of the Third Reich, the German empire by Hitler, and that was an empire. This guy took on the world, like the freaking earth. And the American empire, I've spoken on that and I looked at that. But more importantly, of course, the Russian empire, of course. But what I look at is how they changed, why they changed, and where that change will lead them, right? So I analyze that. I can't help it. I end up analyzing it, over analyzing it, whatever. And I look at this is their change and where they might end up going. Now, when I look at the changes that they had made and the history that has led them to this, most people believe it's intentional, but I've realized most of it is not intentional. Most of it is coincidental. When you read the history book, it presents it as intentional, but if you think more about it, think deeper, read deeper into it, you will realize it is acting on circumstance. That's what I'm reading it, and then I sort of try to envision it, and you realize what's going on in, say, this president's head. What is he trying to achieve? Why is he trying to achieve it? And then you can flip back and look at his childhood, blah blah blah, how he came to power, yada yada yada. And then you have his character. And then you see how his character traits motivate him to do certain things in a certain fashion in what he might want to achieve. And most of the time it's environmental, it's due to certain pressures. So you look at what are the pressures that lead to that certain transformation, right? Because there have actually been a few revolutions in our history. There haven't been a lot of revolutions. Now we have more transformations as opposed to revolutions. Revolutions are bloody, right? Revolutions are war. So you look at that, and then I always come back and look at our own country. Most people like to ask, why do I look outside? I look outside because I want to sort of see how our country views things as opposed to the others, and what's our country's vision going forward. And what do I realize? I realized, there is no vision for our country going forward. We have it in written, but there's no implementation. There's no implementation documentation, right? There's only we are going to do this, but there isn't that steps towards transformation. It doesn't exist. And because of this stagnant condition, you've had the imbalance of the top sort of getting smaller but wider economically, and you've had the middle getting less and less and absolutely economically impoverished. And then you have the middle, which is struggling not to fall down to the bottom of poverty, right? So the sense of security in terms of well-being, human well-being, is missing, right? So you come to affirmative repositioning, and it is a catalyst, right? It is a catalyst. I think most people know what catalyst is. It's a catalyst for change, right? It's a catalyst for change. If there is a vision for our future, show it. If it's not there, we'll say it's not there. Most people were fearful. Most people were shackled. Now a lot of people have woken up. Now a lot of people look around and they're like, wow, right now we have more citizens than we do have subjects. You understand? Now there's more emphasis to improve everybody's daily life, as opposed to just a few. Now everybody matters, but don't expect to get everything all at once, right? I think that's where the pressure comes in. These things yeah, raise my blood pressure, and that's where the pressure comes in, when people want things to happen just like that. Poof. But trust me when I say there's a lot of work in the background that goes into this. It's really hard to convince people that are convinced everything is okay, that everything is not okay. It's difficult, right? So to question AR and to undermine it and to all of that, when we've totally made it go global, the world recognizes it as a necessary force. Come back home and it's a threat. Something's wrong with that. Something is completely wrong with that. But instead of moping about it, we adapt, right? We adapt. So AR is trying to secure peace and stability. Wake up. That's what AR is trying to do. We don't want things to go so out of proportion that we end up like Zimbabwe or something. We are trying to secure peace and stability and citizen cooperation and citizen understanding of government protocol, right? We want to stop the days of just clap, 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 viva, yay, he said nice things. That's nonsense. We want to give people a voice, and that voice has to matter. And when these voices come together and they are enough, they are loud, people hear them. So undermining affirmative repositioning, undermining it, as opposed to what could have been positive advertising, is just a sign of envy. Why did they do it first? How do they do it? We also want to do what they do. Plain and simple. This is envy. It's a knock, 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 let us in. No. Oh yeah. Negative better. I mean, grow up. What's wrong with you? So one is overly radical. We're not all overly radical. We're not guns. We don't want to start shooting up everybody and stuff. No. We want to secure peace and stability. More than those who claim peace and stability. If they thought peace and stability was so important, why did they not rectify all of this stuff a long time ago? So yeah, there have been attempts to cause rifts inside AR, how it works. to sort of create doubt. But we rise above all this, man, because it's the bigger picture. We are comrades, allies. We are recognized because we are truthful, right? Because despite all of the doubts and whatever, we still believe, even in those people that don't believe in themselves and that don't believe in the cause. That's why there's a rubber band effect. When there's negativity, it just comes and bounces back, because it's self-correcting. So I said I vouch for affirmative repositioning so loudly that they felt, no, don't vouch for them, vouch for us. Dude, do you know how much energy I put in this? I mean, a lot of people are going about their own lives and, doing their yada yada yada, while I was just here trying to make things work, trying to get the recognition, get the allies, make sure this thing is seen. This is serious, it's no game, it's for real. And I know this. I don't want to bet on the back or thank you, nothing. Never, ever, ever have I asked for some sort of recognition. Never. The president of Namibia affirmed his support. Who the hell is NBC? Are they not a government? Are they not government property? So why didn't they start mocking the president then? Start mocking him about his house analogy. Start saying things like, well, the Hage Gengop, he's trying to refurnish the Namibian hut. But the hut will look better if you have one of our decoders. Hey, something. Why? Cowards. So yeah, sure, apologize, but mean it. NBC, we can help you. But not if you're douchebags, man. One thing about me is I have a threshold where I don't take cut. So the next time you decide to insult people's idealism, listen to the people that look at the people that they're representing, and listen to the people that they're representing. The single parents, the single mothers who don't have a home for their kids. There's no real security for their kids, because anything can happen and they are kicked out into the street. And trust me, this frustration, obviously the kids know about. Stability. What is stability in that circumstance? We're talking about young families here. The young families have to be stable. They are the future leaders. So you have these bitter young people who grow up to become leaders. How will they lead? Will it be another cycle, a circle of people on top being greedy, neglecting the people at the bottom? We don't want that. This is the age of transformation. And we never asked for anybody's permission. So understand, you're not just insulting the people in AR, you're insulting everybody that suffers from these circumstances of not having a fixed household. Families, man, families are broken because of this. A husband can beat his wife no matter how much he wants to, because it's his house. Where else is she going to go? She just has to keep quiet. Man, did you stop recording? I went on, man.